have arrived. You are here with Carl on the Carl Vibe podcast. And I today wanted to talk about something that I've been asked to discuss a lot, which is more the basics of meditation. I've talked about non-duality. I've talked about a lot of different things on this podcast already. Some really deep, interesting, ancient mystical theories and stuff. But what I get asked a lot is actually, even when I bump into strangers for some reason now, people ask me all the time about meditation, or it comes up, or Alan Watts comes up, or something along those lines comes up. I've even been on trips before where I was in California, and like 3 times in one day, I got in 2 different Ubers. And one of the Uber rides I got in, and the driver got in, and he even said, I don't know why, I wasn't going to do work today. I wasn't going to come and drive for Uber, but for some reason I got up. And then he even said, God told me that I should come and pick you up because you have a message for me. And so I just kind of laughed. And then we talked about meditation. I just assumed that's what it was about. And we talked about that. It was really interesting, but it does definitely come up a lot. I've even been on vacation in Hawaii, had a guy on the side of the road while my wife and I were driving along the beach, pop up out of the trees by his house where he was trimming trees and wave us down and come out and talk to me in the car while I was driving. I stopped and put the car in park, and we discussed meditation and stuff for probably over an hour. Just a total stranger, never met before, while driving through Hawaii, just jumped up and waved me down smiling, and then we stopped and talked about it. But it comes up all the time, and it seems like people that are struggling with their own happiness, with their own self-awareness, with their own mental health, with any kind of emotional problems or internal dialogue where the conversation within your own mind is often unhealthy, or it feels like they're suffering. If you feel unhappy or like there's suffering in your life, meditation is something that can really help ease that. It can help separate you a little bit from who you are and what you are and the story that's going on in your mind around all of that, which is what meditation can help you do. It sort of helps you become inwardly mindful of yourself, your thoughts, your perceptions, the witness and awareness of who you really are. So there's different types of meditation, but the purpose is all the same depending on what you're doing. It's to basically reach this place of inner peace and calm, a place of emotional and mental spaciousness. Some people call it awakening or enlightenment, discovering the infinite self. It can be as simple as mindfulness, Advaita, or oneness. But there's different types of meditation, but the point is all one and the same, is to go all the way inward and all the way outward. And when I say that, I don't mean like physically, like your body's going to teleport somewhere. I mean within your awareness. Like if you closed your eyes and you paid attention to just the sounds around you, that would be like a form of focused meditation. So you're shifting your perceptions and your awareness in a mindful, controlled way. And you could do the same things when you're going through a lot of emotions or struggling with a problem, or you just feel like things aren't going well, or maybe they're going really well, and you just want some peace of mind and some calm to bring you right back where you are here and now in a good, peaceful place. So it helps balance you out and get a break from yourself a little bit. The experience of meditation is one of, for a moment, having no thoughts and no inner dialogue and chatter in the mind. So it's a spacious separation that you're creating between thinking. And it's also a taste of like a neutral, peaceful place, like a safe place that is untouchable, that's unblemished. It's like you're looking inward and just getting peace and calm and comfort from understanding the sense of true self, your infinite self within. And when you discover that, you realize there's no one there. And that's a great relief. So it feels like tapping into a sense of oneness, like a sense of oneness with all things, because who you are just a minute ago and that whole story, it sort of stops. It goes quiet and goes calm. So that entire inner dialogue that was going on, everything that you were stressed about and all of your problems, all of that, just basically you're able to get a grip on, understand what it is, where it's coming from, how autonomous it actually is, and how separate you are from that. And you can just observe it like you do the rest of the autonomous parts of your life. And so we're going to get into that. I just wanted to go over the basics of what meditation is. It's mindfulness. It's paying attention to your thoughts and emotions. And through that, you tap into deep spirituality, peace of mind, nirvana, awakening, all those enlightening sorts of spiritual experiences or meditative psychological experiences that are good for mental health, which is what we're talking about. The conversation that you're having in your own mind, the memories that are constantly replaying, the emotions that you have with all of that, how you're thinking about your day and your life and everything, that is your mental health. That's what we're talking about with that. It's your peace of mind. It's also your sense of consciousness and awareness and who you are. So we should start there, right? If you're going to go into therapy or get medication or anything, I highly think and recommend that you should try at least some very easy and basic meditation methods that you can apply to your life. I know a lot of different ones, and today I want to go over some of the basic ones and describe the different types of meditation that you can do, how they fall into different sorts of categories. So maybe you can find one that works really well for you. And if at any time when we're doing a guided meditation, because after I explain it, we'll actually go through and do a practice meditation. I'll do a guided meditation with you or try, and you can follow along with me. And if it works and you find yourself feeling really peaceful and serene, or like you just have finally a breath of fresh air, like peace and calm from the stress, just this place of peace and euphoria separate from all the troubles. And if you have that experience of like awakening or enlightenment during one of these meditations, feel free to just mute the video or pause it and stay in that moment or to replay it. You're not going to stay there forever. Part of something that people don't teach you with meditation is that when you have those moments of clarity, where you're just allowed to be who you are now, where you are now, without any thoughts or opinions about it, and just breathe and just be in awareness, that can be really freeing, but you won't stay there forever, because really you're still just sitting where you're at, and you'll open your eyes, or maybe you already are. Something will distract you. Thoughts will come into your mind. They will, you'll find yourself daydreaming or thinking about things or priorities again, and it'll bring you back where you'll find yourself coming back. And that will feel like a struggle, like, oh, I can't meditate. It's not working for me. I can't do it. But that's actually okay. Everybody knows that gets involved in good meditation or Zen meditation that people will tell you that you can overcome that, where you can completely achieve total ego death or something, and that through meditation you'll transcend it and awaken, and that you'll never go back to having thinking thoughts or in the rat race of society or whatever. But really the truth is that imaginations and thoughts and reality steps back in and is always there. But the trick with meditation and how meditation can become beneficial is that you get your control over all those thoughts in your mind, and you have a relationship with them that's much different than the way that it was before. So that as you're meditating, you become aware of your thoughts instead of just lost in your thoughts. And you can get a grip on those and control them and guide them, almost like lucid dreaming, like awakening, and instead of being lost in a nightmare, you kind of realize, wait, this is a dream. And you kind of have control all of a sudden in the dream to be aware of what's really going on and how much of it's just an imagination or a figment and how much of it you're really dealing with and stuff. So it's good for that. It's an effective tool, but you're not going to like transcend in some other dimension or anything. You'll always just end up right back where you are, here and now, living out the story of your life as a part of that. Hopefully your relationship with all of that changes with meditation. So, okay. So it could be a great experience. It can be profound if you've never really meditated before. I used to think that I was meditating, but really what I would do is I would sit somewhere and concentrate really hard, or I would think and try to guide my thoughts in a certain way to solve a problem or answer a question or something along those lines. And it resembled more like praying. I would pray a lot or have constant conversations in my mind. And then when I would go sit by myself and close my eyes, I thought that while I was doing all of that, that's what meditation was. Well, that's like a very, very basic kind of just like mindful, I'm going to sit and really think through my thoughts and sort stuff out. But that's not really what actual meditation is, or the experience that you're supposed to have while you're meditating. It's not like prayer at all. It's more like you vanish. Your entire sense of self just falls away, and you aren't really there anymore. You are just a witness of what's happening, and you realize that everything that's happening is kind of all one thing and not separate from you, and it can be a profound experience. So you realize that your entire life and everything that you're thinking about is just a story that goes on in that dialogue in your head in a language that was taught to you as a child, depending on where you were born and who your family was and where you went to school. If you grew up learning English in a certain type of dialect or accent and everything, that's totally something that was put in there as a child in order to label everything in the world and see everything in the world. So that's not actually who you are when you're having a conversation in words and in language in your mind. That really isn't deeply who you are. And also, when you think about the past, that's not actually where you are. So what we want to do as part of the setup for this is we go into these different types of meditation, these 5 really easy meditation methods. You have to realize that everything that you think that you are is just a story, and that you're thinking about that story from where you're at right here and now, wherever that is. And so what we need to do is just imagine that we're going to leave that whole story of the past, everything from the past other than where you're at right now. We can just leave it outside. Just like before you come in the room, imagine that you took your shoes off and left it outside. The past, you just leave that outside. We don't need it where we're at right now. When you're meditating, just take your shoes off, leave the past behind you. So that's not where you're at now. You don't need to think about it. You don't need to remember it. You don't need to replay those old tapes. You don't need to ruminate on anything. There's no past. Just take your shoes off, leave the past outside. We also step into the timeless present, the here and now, which is where you've always been. So there's no remembering, no thinking about the future, just here. The immediate place where you're doing exactly what you're doing right now without thinking or feeling about anything outside of that. That's exactly where we want to be, and that's exactly where you always are. So now that you're here and now, and you've left your past outside, and nobody wants that. Nobody wants to talk about it. You don't want to think about it right now, so just leave it away. So the first thing that you have to realize is that you're not your thoughts. So that story of your past, if you don't think about it, that's not anywhere. It's not actually anywhere. And the future isn't anywhere. You're just present. You're just where you are now. Everything outside of where you are now, you have to just think about or imagine from where you are now. So now that you're here where you are now, the first type of meditation and the easiest type of meditation is just a Tao meditation, one of the most basic ones. It's just to focus all of your attention and all of your perceptions of awareness on your breathing. This can involve, like, you can close your eyes, you can visualize being in a place that you like on the beach or back in bed or anywhere you can imagine somewhere in your mind. That's what Tao meditation is. It's where you basically imagine something, or you control your visualizations, and sort of like you would take a hold of the steering wheel of your consciousness, you suddenly look at your own thoughts and see what you're thinking and pay attention to that. And as you become aware of your own thoughts and what you're thinking, it goes quiet for a moment, and you can guide that. So you can become thoughtless and just imagine a peaceful scene. And in that scene, as you close your eyes, we can just take this explanation right into a nice guided meditation. You just close your eyes, and your entire existence now can just become the awareness of your breathing in and out. So as the air comes in, you let it fill your lungs, and then just let it fall out with no effort. And as you find yourself breathing, you realize that your heart is also beating. Your body is sitting in a certain way or laying in a certain way. You're able to hear the sound of my voice. And all of these things just happen on their own. And your lungs breathe on their own without a thought or a care. The air fills your lungs and your chest. And you realize that you don't even have to breathe. What you perceive as the universe can even breathe for you. It's happening. Everything's happening on its own. You can just be right where you are now without a thought. Like you can have this thought, and then the next one. Just like you can have a breath and a pause, and let the breath out, there's a space between the breath. You can also create a space between your thinking, between your thoughts. So as you breathe in, hold your thoughts and let there be space, peace, calm, awareness, just a witness between the thoughts, without any thoughts or words at all, no conversation within the mind. So as we breathe in, if there's any tense muscles in your body or in your face, they can let go, and you just breathe in and have that space and peace and calm. And as this goes on, you just become aware that you can have this thought and the next thought. But you can also have just the space in between where you breathe in and breathe out and have this thought, and then some of you may have never even paid attention to your thoughts so closely in that conversation within yourself, and realized that you could become just aware of your thinking and bring quiet, peace, and calm, and just watch those thoughts go on and not become entangled with it. A lot of you probably have never done that before. So that's just a basic, simple one. Now you can imagine while you're doing just the breathing exercises, you can just sit in a quiet place. You can do that while you're taking a shower. You can do that in the car. I recommend having your eyes open, obviously, if you're driving. But also you can go anywhere that you want and find peace and calm. It helps also in nature. And as you get used to that, you'll find yourself opening your eyes, but also staying sort of in that place within yourself, just kind of an open aperture of awareness, witnessing what's happening without a thought. And that peace and calm without just having the world fly around in your mind like a tornado that you're just trying to participate in. You realize that you're just there where you are and you have total control, and you can calm that storm down, and you can bring a place of peace and calm or nirvana, sense of oneness in between all the thought chatter and the conversation and the problems that you have and the emotions that you have. You can get calm and peace in that space. So that's really a really good one. So basically the first one of the easiest ones, is just to focus all of your attention on your breathing and how the breathing goes on even without you trying. It's like everything's happening on its own. And then you just become free of your thoughts. You allow the space between the thoughts kind of become who you are. Everything becomes just where you're at or what you want to visualize. And you guide that in just by focusing your awareness on right where you're at, on your breathing, and spreading out that place of peace and calm and quiet calm within yourself as much as you can until you feel like, okay, I feel good, So that's a really good one. So the space between the thoughts is the next one that we're going to do. This is actually number 2. We're going to do a more focused visualized exercise. So in the first one, you're just paying attention to your breathing. In the second one, we're actually going to create like a visual imagination in your mind that helps you. As you imagine it, it helps you. It's like a trigger or a pointer that triggers the experience of meditation or awakening, where it helps trick your mind into kind of that space between the thoughts where you go, like where you're kind of puzzled for a moment. It's like an unsolvable question that your mind suddenly tries to solve. And as it's waiting for its own answer that never comes, you find yourself going, whoa, having this great long space of just no thoughts. Freedom from that story within your mind and that big conversation going on, right? So this one is one that Eckhart Tolle, that he does. It's really cool. It's a cat and a mouse. So if you think of like there's a mouse coming out of a hole in the wall, and like it lives in the hole in the wall, has its little house in there, and your awareness is the cat. And what you're doing is your awareness or your witness and consciousness. So if we close your eyes, this is another Tao meditation. Anytime I say Tao meditation, that means that you're visualizing something. You're not just trying to become empty nothingness. Okay. So Tao meditation, you're basically going to close your eyes and visualize that your mind or consciousness is like a cat waiting to pounce. And there you're right outside this hole in the wall where there's a mouse hiding. And that mouse represents the very next thought that you're going to have. So let's imagine that you have a thought right now, and that mouse comes out of the hole. And when the mouse comes out of the hole, that represents having a thought in your mind, thinking something in your mind, like having an imagination or some sort of a distraction or conversation pops up. And that's like the mouse coming out of the hole. So what we're going to do is tie our thoughts to a visualization, which is the mouse coming out of the hole. And our awareness, who we really are, becomes like the cat waiting to pounce. So we're going to watch our thoughts like a cat trying to catch a mouse coming out of the mouse hole. But here's where the meditation part comes in. That's really amazing, where we're going to wait for the mouse to come out of the mouse hole, but it never comes. So let's pretend that the mouse pops out now. Let's close our eyes. So here comes the mouse. Here's this thought. And then it goes back in. And now we're ready. And we're going to wait for the next thought to pop up. The next thought's going to try to come. but it just never does. And so we wait and ready, here we go. That might have been a little bit difficult for some of you, so we'll do that one more time. I'll slow down just a little bit. This time, as you do it, as you imagine that the next thought is going to come, if you feel that spaciousness, that space between the thoughts, where a thought doesn't arise and doesn't pop up, then you can let the visualization of being the cat and waiting for the thought to come fall away. And you can just rest in that peaceful feeling where you find yourself and just melt into that with your awareness. So let's try that again. So you don't have to hold on to the visualization. Don't wait for me to talk again or anything. Just allow yourself to be there waiting for the thought and experience that moment, just to give you kind of a taste of it. Okay, so here we are. So we are being mindful of our thoughts like they are a mouse coming out of the mouse hole. So we're going to close our eyes and imagine there's a little hole in the wall. We're waiting for our next thought to come. And we notice, here's one thought, and then there's a pause. And then here's another thought right now, and then there's just and as you can have different types of little pointers or tricks like that as a Tao meditation, where you visualize a thought that's about to arise. Maybe it's a sound that's supposed to happen that never happens, or you can have any kind of a little pointer or trigger or totem that helps you find that peace and calm, that space between the thoughts. It's a really good one. There's another one now, another easy way to meditate that I found, and this is one that my wife uses a lot. It's a Dzogchen method. Dzogchen is D-Z-O-G-C-H-E-N is how you spell it. If you're interested in that, want to look it up. And this is also one where you use a guided visualization. But then if you take it a step further through that guided visualization within your mind, the guided visualization goes inward within yourself. And your consciousness itself now is represented as the flame of a candle, just like a floating flame within your mind. Now I'm describing it, and we'll do it here. We'll do a guided version of this. And while you're in that darkness of your consciousness, and there's just that candle flame, then right as you start to feel free from thought, and a thought starts to arise again, you just let the flame go and go out. And as the smoke floats up, you just let any potential thought that would arise float up like eternal incense within the consciousness. And you just kind of maintain this peaceful where you are. And it even allows you to get to the point where you can open your eyes and your hearing and your awareness and actually exist where you are, but the thoughts still remain like the smoke of consciousness of incense. Like you've blown that candle out within the self, and you just become almost like a little child, or like you would see the world through the eyes of some sort of like an aware, intelligent animal, or like something like the way that a dog maybe sees the world without all the human assumptions and labels and judgments. You just kind of go blow that candle out and become an awareness in how you see the world. And it's great for peace of mind, to get a break from your stress and to calm yourself down and all of that. It's like the candle of consciousness is how I like to apply this version of Dzogchen. There's a lot of different methods that involve meditating, facing the east and looking at the sun and different things like that, creating refractory light. You know how when you look at a light source And then close your eyes. There's a resonant image in your consciousness and reflecting within your mind. Like you can still kind of see the image persisting as a form of energy within your consciousness once you close your eyes. There's a lot of that can go on in meditation where you can pull your awareness inward into other places that are really interesting. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the candle of consciousness. This is method number 3 of my 5 easy meditation methods for beginners. And this is the candle of consciousness. So here we go. So find yourself somewhere comfortable. You can be sitting or lying down, however you want to get, or if you're in the car, you can keep your eyes awake and pay attention. Or even if you're at work and you need to do this, you can visualize this within your own awareness of consciousness. But if you really want to experience that place, find a place where you can get really comfortable and close your eyes. And as you become aware of your breathing, let all of your awareness become that empty space inside your skull, like that dark, hollow, isolation chamber type place that when you close your eyes and just really focus inward on who you are inside yourself, and just imagine that being nothing but an infinite dark void, just like the infinite nothingness of space. Everything inside you is just that infinite nothingness of space. And within you, your consciousness, every thought that you are, exists within the energy of just the flame of a candle in that space. Any thought that would arise, any imagination that would arise, any visualization other than the flame just becomes consumed by the little burning flame of this candle in this perfect place of unblemished calm within the self. And if that flame persists, then it can persist forever. This candle flame can burn eternally, even if you open your eyes or go about your day. It can bring this peace and calm again and always be there. If the thoughts or the flame become too much, then you can simply puff out the flame and extinguish the thoughts. If you find yourself thinking thoughts again or imagining anything other than the flame, notice it is simply the flame again, just the candle's flame that can easily go. And that is how I like to do the candle of consciousness. The little flame within the self. It's a really cool one. I like that one. Number 4 that I want to talk about is also another anticipation one, but this is more of a non-dual Advaita sort of method where you're not visualizing anything. The meditation begins from a total nothingness, a place of absence. So this one is used by a spiritualist and philosopher named Mooji, who has a whole following. This is one that I like of his, a method of meditation where he counts from 0 to 1. And it's really that simple. And the point is that when you're trying to meditate, where are you trying to get other than where you're at? So you don't have to get anywhere. So the idea is the giving up of trying to yearn to become somewhere other than where you are. You can leave your eyes open, your ears open. It doesn't matter what distractions arise. If somebody comes up to talk to you, any interruptions whatsoever, you always realize that you're exactly right there. And how counting from 0 to 1 does that is usually when you think a thought in your mind, that becomes a conversation that goes somewhere, and that carries on, that has more questions that arise and more problems that need solved or whatever, and they have emotions tied to them as well. So the idea is that we create this sort of loop, an impossible trick for the mind and our awareness, so that when we go, instead of counting from 1, 2, 3 that can go on, what we do is we start from 0. And you realize that in reality, when you start from 0, when you really try to get to 1, you just never get there. It's similar to the mouse coming out of the mouse hole Tao meditation that we did earlier, but this one is a total absence. So there's no visualizations whatsoever. You're not even visualizing the 0 of the number 0. You're just experiencing nothingness and waiting for 1 to come, but it never comes. You never have to count to 1. And you realize that the power that you have within yourself to never count 1, just to stay 0, is something that you have within your witness of awareness, your infinite self. So this one is counting from 0 to 1. It's kind of a non-dual one, so you can leave your eyes open and look around the room. It's literally just separating that internal dialogue and emotion and just going and turning it off, so that you can stop the thought chatter within your mind if you're not okay with what's happening. So as you sit here, everyone always counts 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they go on, and it goes on forever. But the truth is, nobody ever counts from 0 to 1. Nobody says 0, because 0 is nothing. It's not a thing. There's no number there to count. So we are going to let our mind just be nothing, 0. And as a sensation or a yearning to count to 1 arises within the sense of self, instead of counting to 1, we just let that yearning arise and never fulfill. It just is left in that nothingness of the 0, and you realize you can suspend in an infinite anticipation from 0 to 1 that gives you this total power over your inner conversation and the thoughts that are going on in your mind, just by becoming the nothingness of the 0. So as we go to the 0, you allow your thoughts and everything and all your attention just to become the value of that nothing, that total void of absence that is 0. And as we're going to count to the next place, we just never get there. It never happens. And you realize that can be extended. And we just start from nothing, and we just something I'm going to point out here is that for most of you, and for me, the experience of meditation is that you're counting from 0 to 1 there, or you're waiting for the mouse to come out of the mouse hole, or you're extinguishing the candle in the mind, or any one of these methods that we've gone over. And what happens is that you start to have a conversation about the meditation method. So you start thinking, you're in that moment, in that experience of the meditation where you have that peace of mind between the thoughts. And then what sneaks up on you is the experience of thinking, just keep thinking from 0 to 1. You're doing it. It's working. And that noticing that it's happening somehow sneaks up as the conversation or the daydream itself that pulls you back in to snapping back into your life day to day and the thoughts that you were having and that conversation that was going on. And so as you're meditating, you have that peacefulness, you notice that you're peaceful and you go, it's working. And there's like a little thought in the back that is the first thought. As Mooji says, it's like your ego or the consciousness throws a rock in the bushes behind you while you're meditating. It's like, whew, and it's coming from you. It's like your next thought, but it arises from somewhere other than where you, as the witness of the thoughts, is actually trying to stay, which is in that peaceful paradise type place of meditation. So as you're in that Zen state, you're like, oh, I'm in the Zen state. And as you have that thought, oh, I'm in the Zen state, that pulls you out of the Zen state. And it's kind of a paradox. And that's not something that you should get frustrated with. It's not anything to be fought. What you do is you just become aware that you're thinking that, get a little bit of a sense of humor about it, and let it go right into the flame and up with the incense, or you let it go right back into the mouse hole again. Oh, you caught it. It's gone. And you can go right back to that place. And over time, it just becomes this masterful way of being self-aware of your own mindset, your own attitude, and your own headspace and the way that you're seeing the world. So now the last one that I want to go over, number 5, this is one that I've actually developed. I've heard of philosophies and meditation philosophies and non-dual mindsets where you take a perception of the headless man, but we're not going to do that. Because I make film and I've done YouTube and I've done a lot of this stuff for 10 years, one of the visualizations or self-perceptions that I like to take with meditation is where you have your eyes open. It's a non-dual meditation or an Advaita meditation, old Hindu, Buddhist type one, but I bring it to the modern relative age, kind of analog, but it's a good visualization or a way to achieve a level of perception within yourself that also brings you to that same meditative place and peace of mind that you're trying to get. So what this is that we're going to imagine for a moment that instead of having a head, I know that sounds bizarre, but just go with the visualization and it will trigger something in your awareness and perceptions that will help you. So imagine for a moment that instead of having a head, there's just a camera, like a movie camera, like the kind that takes film, like the old style reel-to-reel movie camera where they have to reel up the film, okay? And so right now, instead of a head, you just have this movie camera that's there. And when you close your eyes, go ahead and close your eyes. That's like having the lens cap on. You can even put your hand over your eyes, like you have the lens cap over the lens. So you can't see, there's no information coming in. There's no awareness. There's no perceptions coming in. You have the lens cap on. And it's sitting there quietly. But obviously the camera's on. You can't turn the camera off unless you're sleeping. So the camera's on. So now we take the lens cap off and you open your eyes. And you look around the room. And as you're looking around the room and you're thinking thoughts and hearing my voice and thinking about your day and imagining things, that's like the tape is recording. Imagine that you're recording on the film and you're creating memories, like you're vlogging or you're creating home videos. And so as the tape is going, that's usually your experience day to day, all day. From the moment you wake up and you open your eyes, the reel to reel starts rolling, the tape starts recording. And you're recording memories. You're recording your life story. Everything starts to happen. Your eyes are open. The audio is going on and you're recording all this information. And this is your life. This is the movie that's going to flash before your eyes before you die. That's the story we tell ourselves, right? So as this tape is going on, this is what's happening and you're recording this. This is your life on the hard drive of your mind in there and your awareness. So first of all, let's ask ourselves, where do you sit? Where are you, who you are within the camera? Where's your consciousness? Where does the witness of awareness that is you, your sense of infinite self, where does it sit within that camera? It doesn't seem to be up by the lens. It's not outside the lens. It's not in the film. Somehow it's the witness of the film. You're aware of the camera. Somehow you're the entire movie. It's all being recorded in you and for you, but it's also not where you're at. You're sort of apart from it when you really pay attention. So now as you look around, you have the lens cap off and the film is going. If you want to achieve meditation or awakening, it's as simple as taking out the film, leaving the camera on as if it's recording, but there's nothing to record to. You're not thinking any thoughts. There's no memories being recorded. There's no opinions, no conversation, just an open aperture of witness looking through. So as we sit here and the tapes are rolling and you hear the sound of my voice and it's recording on those tapes and the camera's running, the camera's still going, full power, eyes open, and we're just going to stop thinking and stop recording and just take out the film. And if you notice thoughts arising or feelings or opinions or imaginations arising, just realize there's film in the camera and you can just take the film out. Just remain as the open aperture, the witness of awareness of what is happening, and just experience. Where are you as the witness of what happens? You're clearly not your thoughts. You're not those emotions. You're not what you see. You're not what you hear. You're okay. These types of methods, these 5 easy methods for meditation, I hope that they help you. They help me. I know a lot of other ones. If you like this video, please let me know. If you have a meditation method that you like, let me know in the comments, or please let me know on Instagram, on Twitter, around. I'll do it. I can more than happy to do another set of these. I can do another 5. I could do another 10. We didn't even get to Tibetan singing bowls or music instruments or anything like that as a form of meditation or guided meditation. We could get into also other things. So let me know what you guys think. Appreciate your feedback. And for those of you that watch and subscribe and that listen to the podcast, you have arrived. Hopefully this was your first taste. If this was your first time ever meditating, I'm really curious and would like to know that as well. And thank you for joining me, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.